Verse 3. Yea, O Lord, how long shall they suffer these wrongs and lawful oppressions before thine heart shall be softened toward them and thy bowels be moved with compassion toward them? Now, I don't know about you, but a soft heart is a metaphor that I can get. Bowels of compassion, not so much. So, Taylor recently read a book about the gut, and you learned that there is a nerve that connects our gut to our brain and to our lungs called the vagus nerve. This is one of the biggest nerves in our body, and it's this information highway. And so our gut often actually controls our brain. So, and then our brain controls the rest of the body. So is Joseph saying that this is the command center for compassion? No, I don't think so. I think it's better and deeper and more interesting than that. There's actually an article in BYU Studies put out by John Durham Peters, and it's called The Bowels of Mercy. There are 3 words that are often translated bowels, and 1 Greek word from the New Testament that show up in the scriptures. Me'im can signify your innards generally, the reproductive organs, and the seat of emotions. Kerep means your inner parts, and rachem, which is often translated compassion, is related to the Hebrew word raham, or womb.
Like, this is where God births us.
Yes. So it's there in the bowels, or the rahem, that there's those bowels of compassion. In New Testament Greek, the term splachna means not only the vital organs, but kind of your entire human personality, and especially your tender feelings and your feelings of mercy. In modern Greek, I found this so interesting. One of the tenderest things you can say to another person is splachno mu. And this means, figuratively, my dear one, but literally it means my gut or my spleen. Its implication is that my soul is your soul. You are in my inner parts, or kind of in our more modern language, you're in my heart, right? So across all these languages, the bowels have to do with the distinctive locations of human feeling, human emotion.
So it's interesting, in many cultures, such as North America, it's the heart where the emotions are. And what we're learning is that in the ancient Greek and the ancient Middle Eastern world, it was the gut. Like, you're in my gut. The way we say today, you're in my heart. So if you really want to please somebody on Valentine's, you can just really reach their gut by saying, you're in my gut.
But this is kind of funny because really, of all aspects of our human body, one of the least attractive is our lower gastrointestinal system, our bowels. But this makes it all the more beautiful when Christ speaks of his bowels of mercy. He has compassion on us. We're mortals, and we are tainted with disease and death, just as our bowels are. But he nonetheless knows us and loves us in our greatest suffering and our lowest and our most contaminated states. This is what his mercy is. So the bowels really are a symbol of our humanity and God's succor for it, his mercy for it. So remember that Hebrew root raham, it's plural rahamim. This is sometimes translated as bowels, and other times as tender mercies, or even maternal nature. Having bowels moved with compassion is suggestive of pregnancy, right? The inward parts being filled and moved on another's behalf. Christ's bowels are filled with mercy towards us as he gives us a second birth.
This is incredible that God is basically using maternal imagery and birthing imagery and actually the nurturing of a child in the womb to talk about what he will do for all of us. Think about the protection that is there for a child in the womb and the loving and care that is given to that child from the mother. What an incredibly powerful way for God to speak to his people, and for what Joseph and the people are seeking is for that motherly protection that only God can truly give.
Just as God has his bowels filled with mercy unto us, he wants us to treat others with that same mercy. We see this later in section 121. We get to verse 45 when he says, let thy bowels also be full of charity towards all men. Wow, even those ones who are destroying our homes and sending our wives and our children out into the snowy cold. So we must say splach no mu to others as well. We need to hold them safe during their trials, during their struggles. And this comes from the author of that article. Peters ends his article about the bowels of mercy in this way. The bowels are the site of a transaction between selves. The pains of the other become one's own. We enter Zion. Okay? They just lost Zion. But through the bowels of mercy, we enter Zion. The community of genuine love, where, as Alma says, our hearts might be knit together. This is both the social and religious meaning of bowels of mercy. In the metaphor, we discover not only something that is vaguely grotesque or suggestively poetic, but also a deep unity that is both aesthetic and theological. God's power to encompass with love all things, the heights and the depths, corruption and incorruption.